Tonight, we embark on a journey through the galaxy, where one of the most compelling and tragic stories unfolds. A story of hope, fear, love, and redemption. Find a quiet, comfortable space, close your eyes, and let the Force guide you into a peaceful sleep as we explore the life of Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, whose fate was written in the stars, and whose journey would change the course of the galaxy forever, from his humble beginnings on the desert planet of Tatooine, to his rise as a Jedi Knight, to his fall into darkness as Darth Vader, and his eventual redemption. Anakin's story is one of the deepest and most complex tales ever told. So relax and allow yourself to drift into the world of Star Wars lore as we trace the path of Anakin Skywalker, his triumphs, his struggles, and his ultimate return to the light. And if you're new here, why not subscribe for a good night's sleep? Early life on Tatooine. Anakin Skywalker's life began under mysterious and extraordinary circumstances. According to the Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn, had he been born in the Republic, we would have identified him early. The Force is unusually strong with him. That much is clear. However, the origin of Anakin's conception was equally mysterious. His mother, Shmi Skywalker, claimed that there was no father. "I carried him. I gave birth. I raised him. I can't explain what happened," she said. Some speculated that Anakin had been conceived through the midi-chlorians, a microscopic life form that serves as the conduit for the Force. But the truth of his origins remained shrouded in uncertainty. Born on the desert planet of Tatooine, Anakin's early life was marked by hardship. Tatooine itself was a harsh and unforgiving world, characterized by sand dunes, moisture farms, and the power of the Hutts. Anakin and his mother were originally owned by the Hutt crime lord Gardulla, who eventually lost them to the Toydarian Watto in a pod racing bet. At the age of 3, Anakin found himself under the ownership of Watto, a cantankerous and greedy merchant who ran a junk shop in Mos Espa. While Anakin's life as a slave was undoubtedly difficult, it also set the stage for his remarkable abilities to emerge. Despite being a slave, Anakin was far from ordinary. Even as a young child, he displayed exceptional talents, most notably in mechanics and piloting. He spent his days working in Watto's junkyard and repairing droids, particularly the protocol droid C-3PO, which he built himself to assist his mother. The droid was uniquely designed to withstand Tatooine's harsh environment, particularly the desert's heat and sandstorms. Anakin's resourcefulness and technical expertise were evident in his work with C-3PO, but this was just the beginning of his remarkable skills. In addition to his work with droids, Anakin showed an early aptitude for pod racing. He had the rare ability to build and repair his own pod racer, which would eventually help him win the Boonta Eve Classic pod race. His love for flying and racing was evident, and it was clear, even at a young age, that Anakin was no ordinary boy. Anakin's mother, Shmi, often told him the story of the Sun Dragon, a mythical creature that lived in the core of a star. According to Shmi, the Sun Dragon had the biggest heart in the galaxy and could survive anything because it protected everything it loved. This myth held a special place in Anakin's heart, as Shmi used it as a lesson, reminding him to always trust in his strength and his heart. She saw in Anakin a powerful spirit, and though life on Tatooine was harsh, she believed he could accomplish great things, helping a Tusken slave and dreams of becoming a Jedi. Though Anakin's early life was filled with hardship, it was also marked by his deep sense of empathy and his desire to help others. One day, Anakin had a vivid dream in which he was a Jedi, rescuing his mother from the life of slavery. When he awoke, Shmi warned him that there were no Jedi in the Outer Rim and that his path was dangerous. She urged him to remain safe and not attract attention, fearing that his strong connection to the Force would only bring trouble. Anakin's sense of justice was also evident in his actions. One day, while running errands for Watto, Anakin came across a group of slavers who were transporting a Tusken Raider. Overhearing them discuss the lack of a transmitter chip in the slave, Anakin quickly altered the speeder's wiring to set it free. The slave escaped, and Anakin managed to mislead the slavers, saving the Tusken Raider from a life of captivity. When he returned home, Anakin proudly shared the story with his mother, even though he had technically gone against Watto's orders. Despite the small victories, Anakin knew that his life on Tatooine was not meant to be. His dreams of becoming a Jedi were strong, though Shmi feared that his talents would draw unwanted attention. She also warned him about the dangers of being too good, as it could lead to those who would try to use him for their own purposes. But Anakin was resolute in his desire to help others, even if it meant putting himself at risk. Discovery by the Jedi and first meeting with Padme. At the age of 9, Anakin's life took a dramatic turn. While working in Watto's shop one day, he met a group of strangers, a tall man, a young woman, a Gungan, and an astromech droid. The young woman, Padme Naberi, caught Anakin's attention. He mistook her for an angel, a creature he had heard spacers talk about in their travels. In reality, Padme was the Queen of Naboo, traveling in disguise to visit Tatooine. The Jedi who accompanied her, Qui-Gon Jinn, took immediate notice of Anakin's remarkable abilities. Qui-Gon was a Jedi Master, and he believed that Anakin's strong connection to the Force marked him as someone extraordinary. After observing Anakin's work on C-3PO and his natural talent for mechanics, Qui-Gon sensed that Anakin was the chosen one, the one foretold to bring balance to the Force. Anakin's encounter with Padme also left a lasting impression on him. He was captivated by her beauty and grace, and he even asked her if she was an angel. Though their interaction was brief, it was clear that Padme would play a significant role in Anakin's future. After Qui-Gon and Padme's group returned to Watto's junkyard, Qui-Gon discussed the possibility of taking Anakin with him. He believed that Anakin's potential was too great to ignore, and that he should be trained as a Jedi. Though Shmi was initially hesitant to let her son go, Anakin ultimately persuaded her to allow him to race in the Boonta Eve Classic in order to secure the funds to repair the damaged Naboo Royal Starship. Pod racing to freedom. The Boonta Eve Classic was a dangerous and high-stakes race, but Anakin was confident in his skills. He had built his own pod racer and was eager to prove himself. The race, however, was not without its challenges. Anakin's primary rival, Sebulba, was a ruthless and skilled pod racer, but Anakin's determination and quick thinking ultimately helped him win the race. He was victorious, securing the prize money needed for Qui-Gon to repair the starship and return to Coruscant. With the race behind him, Anakin's life on Tatooine was forever changed. Qui-Gon took him aside and explained that he was not just a boy with extraordinary talent, but someone who was destined for greatness. Qui-Gon believed that Anakin was the chosen one, and he vowed to train him as a Jedi, even though the Jedi Council had yet to approve it. Anakin's joy at the prospect of becoming a Jedi was tempered by the realization that he had to leave his mother behind. Before departing, he promised to return to free her one day. First Battle of Naboo and joining the Jedi Order. Anakin's journey took another turn when he joined Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Padme on their mission to Naboo. As they entered the planet's atmosphere, Anakin had his first taste of space travel. During the mission to Naboo, Anakin played an unexpected role in the Battle of Naboo, where he single-handedly destroyed the Trade Federation's droid control ship while piloting a Naboo starfighter. His actions were instrumental in the victory, and he gained the respect of the Jedi, though he was still struggling with his emotions and the burden of his past. In the aftermath of the battle, Qui-Gon's belief in Anakin's potential was reaffirmed, but the Jedi Council remained divided on whether to train him. Despite their concerns about Anakin's age and emotional attachments, Qui-Gon insisted that he would take Anakin on as his apprentice, and Obi-Wan Kenobi agreed to train him in his stead. Training under Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin's training as a Jedi was not easy. Though he idolized Obi-Wan, he struggled to control his emotions, particularly his fear of loss and his deep attachment to his mother. Anakin's impulsive nature often led to reckless decisions, and he faced many challenges in mastering the discipline required of a Jedi. Nevertheless, he was a gifted student, learning quickly and mastering lightsaber combat, much to the admiration of his fellow Jedi. Despite his skills, Anakin's relationship with Obi-Wan was complicated. He often felt conflicted about his role as a Jedi and the path that lay ahead of him. He was torn between his loyalty to his master and the desire to reconnect with his past. His dreams of his mother haunted him, and the burden of being the chosen one weighed heavily on his shoulders. The growing influence of Chancellor Palpatine. As Anakin continued his training, he found himself drawn to the charismatic and influential Chancellor Palpatine. The Chancellor took a personal interest in Anakin, offering guidance and mentorship. Anakin, who had spent much of his life in servitude, began to view Palpatine as a friend and confidant. Unbeknownst to Anakin, Palpatine's influence over him would grow, setting the stage for the tragic events to come. Mission to Carnelian 4. The road ahead of Anakin Skywalker seemed long and uncertain. "Will you walk it alone?" his master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, asked him. Anakin's response was unwavering, though filled with contemplation. "No, Master. As a Jedi, if you'll show me the way." Their bond was growing, but the challenges they would face together were only beginning. Before Anakin could make his final decision about his future with the Jedi, Obi-Wan and Anakin were dispatched on a mission to investigate a mysterious distress signal from the planet Carnelian 4, a world that was believed to be long dead. The signal specifically called for the assistance of the Jedi, a rare occurrence that warranted their attention. The journey to the planet was not an easy one. As they approached the coordinates, their shuttle was damaged by the planet's turbulent atmospheric debris field. With the shuttle in peril, Obi-Wan and Anakin were forced to eject, landing below the Celadon Sea, far from their intended destination. Not long after landing, Anakin and Obi-Wan discovered that the planet wasn't as lifeless as it appeared. A fierce sky battle raged overhead. During the chaos, Obi-Wan returned his lightsaber to Anakin, urging him to defend himself. As one of the combatant airships began to plummet, Anakin and Obi-Wan worked together to save its two-person crew by preventing a deadly crash. The survivors from the downed airship, Kalara and Mother Pran, identified themselves as members of the Open faction. They were unfamiliar with the Jedi Order, having never encountered such individuals. Soon, Anakin and Obi-Wan were forced to take cover from a closed airship. Obi-Wan fought bravely, but Anakin saved the life of its pilot, Grecker, preventing him from falling to his death. The conflict between these factions, open and closed, was historical and deeply rooted, and Anakin quickly found himself caught in the middle of a long-standing feud. Unable to contain their hatred, Grekka and Pran tried to murder each other. Anakin and Obi-Wan were forced to intervene, destroying their weapons and escorting the two survivors to safety. The mission was becoming more complicated with each passing moment. With the remains of the airships, Anakin and Obi-Wan used their mechanical skills to construct a new one, allowing them to continue their journey to find the source of the distress signal. As they traveled, Kalara noticed Anakin's mechanical prowess and asked him to repair some of the equipment. Anakin, always eager to prove himself, did so quickly, but the people of Open had more in mind. When a horde of hostile fishers attacked the ship, Kalara and Pran, seeing his utility, abducted Anakin, leaving Obi-Wan behind. They took him to one of the Open's fortresses, where Anakin witnessed Pran using the droid processors he had repaired to activate battle droids. As the Open and Closed factions prepared for war against a mysterious scavenger, Anakin realized that this war was fueled by the deep emotional wounds of both sides. Seeing the senselessness of the conflict, Anakin persuaded Kalara and others to protect the scavenger and help him escape. With their help, Anakin repaired the remaining droids, intervened in the ongoing battle, and saved Obi-Wan from Mother Pran. After the skirmish ended, Obi-Wan, grateful for Anakin's efforts, gave him back his lightsaber. The mission was not over yet, however. Anakin's loyalty was tested, and Obi-Wan, still questioning Anakin's commitment to the Jedi Order, asked him if he was still determined to leave. Anakin, for his part, decided to remain a Jedi, his desire to protect others outweighing his doubts about his path. Inquiring about lightsabers. After their mission to Carnelian 4, Anakin's thoughts turned to the weapon that had become synonymous with the Jedi, the lightsaber. During a sparring session in the Jedi Temple, Anakin asked Obi-Wan why Jedi wield lightsabers, particularly when other weapons powered by kyber crystals could be used instead. Obi-Wan, ever patient, used the Force to disarm Anakin and explain the significance of the weapon. He revealed a piece of his own past, telling Anakin about a time when he had once thought of creating two short lightsabers connected by a chain. But he quickly dismissed the idea, as lightsabers symbolize much more than just a weapon. The lightsaber symbolizes the care with which we approach our gifts through the Force, Obi-Wan explained. It reminds others that while we could do more, we very purposely do not. He continued, telling Anakin that wielding a lightsaber was a matter of intent. It wasn't just about the fight. It was about the thought and purpose behind the action. A Jedi's lightsaber, Obi-Wan explained, was not a tool of destruction, but one of protection. It was a weapon that showed restraint, one that Jedi used to protect life rather than destroy it. Rescuing Master Yoda. In another test of Anakin's abilities, Obi-Wan challenged him to defend against a group of Marksman H training remotes, using only a wooden stick rather than his lightsaber. Anakin, eager to prove himself, used the Force to grab Obi-Wan's lightsaber, completing the task with ease. However, when Obi-Wan reprimanded him for disobeying the rules, they began to argue, which caught the attention of Jedi Masters Yoda, Mace Windu, and Master Bant Erin. Afterward, Obi-Wan left with a team of Jedi Temple guards to investigate a disturbance in the Force, leaving Anakin behind to clean up. But Anakin's curiosity and his connection to the Force led him to disobey Obi-Wan. He used two training remotes to navigate the temple's vents, following the disturbance. To his surprise, he discovered that the disturbance was caused by a group of battle droids infiltrating the temple. Anakin fought the droids with what he could find, using electroblades in place of his lightsaber, which Obi-Wan had taken from him. The battle was fierce, but Obi-Wan and the guard team arrived just in time to help Anakin. However, Anakin left the fight prematurely, driven by a vision he had seen in the Force, a vision of the Jedi Council chamber. Racing to the scene, Anakin discovered that a masked enemy had disguised themselves as a temple guard and attempted to kidnap Master Yoda. Despite his best efforts, Anakin was unable to catch the intruder, who escaped on a jetpack. Upon returning to the council chamber, Anakin reported what had happened, realizing that the enemy he had seen was, in fact, a battle droid in disguise. The clues led Obi-Wan and Anakin to the temple archives, where they uncovered the involvement of the Nova Crime Syndicate, a criminal organization that had used the droids to infiltrate the temple. The investigation led them to the Wheel space station, where they posed as civilians to avoid disrupting the fragile peace between the Jedi and the station's barren administrator. There, they encountered Grynask Sandberg, who gave them information pointing to an underwater base on the planet Glee Anselm. Anakin and Obi-Wan ventured to the ocean depths, where they discovered Yoda trapped and the true identity of their enemy. To their shock, the temple guard was revealed to be Master Irin in disguise. As the situation unraveled, it was revealed that the entire ordeal had been a test orchestrated by the Jedi Council, specifically designed to assess how Anakin and Obi-Wan worked together. With Yoda's timely escape from the seaweed trap and the realization of the test, Anakin and Obi-Wan's bond as master and apprentice deepened. The mission concluded with Anakin and Obi-Wan lifting their shuttle off the seabed, working in unison to leave the world behind. A memorable training session. Despite their successes, Anakin continued to struggle with his aggressive nature. One afternoon, Obi-Wan invited him to spar in one of the Jedi Temple's training areas. Their duel began lightly, but Anakin's need to prove himself quickly turned the spar into a brutal fight. Obi-Wan warned him that such aggression was not in line with the Jedi Code. "You are a great warrior, Anakin," Obi-Wan said, "but your need to prove yourself is your undoing. Until you overcome it, a Padawan, you will still be." Anakin's aggression only escalated as the duel continued. He relentlessly pushed Obi-Wan back, determined to win at any cost. At one point, Anakin had Obi-Wan cornered, demanding that his master admit defeat. But Obi-Wan saw the flaw in his Padawan's mindset. He slipped away, creating an opening, and then used the Force to claim Anakin's lightsaber as his own. This was Obi-Wan's lesson. Anakin's need to win and prove himself would ultimately hold him back from advancing to the next level as a Jedi. Anakin, though frustrated, took the lesson to heart. Obi-Wan's challenge helped him see that being a Jedi wasn't about victory for the sake of ego, but about humility, patience, and control. Obi-Wan returned Anakin's lightsaber, and with a smile, he knew that this training session would be one that neither of them would forget. Inquiring about lightsabers. The lightsaber symbolizes the care with which we approach our gifts through the Force and the care with which we wield them. It reminds others that while we could do more, we very purposely do not. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, still in the midst of his Jedi training, had always been curious about the purpose and significance of the lightsaber. One day, after his mission to Carnelian IV, Anakin asked his master, Obi-Wan Kenobi, a question that revealed his growing interest in understanding the Jedi way. Why do Jedi use lightsabers as opposed to any other weapon powered by kyber crystals? Anakin asked, genuinely seeking answers. Obi-Wan, sensing the question's deeper meaning, decided to answer in a way that would help Anakin understand the true essence of the Jedi weapon. He used the Force to gently lift Anakin's lightsaber and began to speak about his own history. Obi-Wan revealed that when he was younger, he had once entertained the idea of creating 2 short lightsabers connected by a chain, a creative thought that seemed to embody the dynamic and fluid nature of combat. However, Obi-Wan dismissed it as impractical. Lightsabers were more than just tools of battle. They were symbols. Obi-Wan explained that in the Jedi Code, the lightsaber represents more than just a weapon. It embodies the Jedi's intent, responsibility, and purpose. To wield it is not to seek destruction or power, but to demonstrate the thought and care one puts into each action. When a Jedi ignites a lightsaber, it is with a deep sense of responsibility, not just to protect themselves, but to protect others and maintain peace. This lesson about the lightsaber wasn't just about the weapon. It was about understanding the Jedi's place in the galaxy and their duty as guardians of peace, not as warriors seeking conflict. Anakin, still young and eager, took this to heart. He realized that the lightsaber was not just a tool for combat, but a reflection of his responsibility as a Jedi. It was a reminder that, although he could use his power for much more, he had to choose carefully when and how to wield it. This lesson, however, would continue to challenge him throughout his life as his inner conflicts grew stronger. Rescuing Master Yoda. As Anakin continued his training, Obi-Wan often found ways to test his abilities. One day, Obi-Wan set up a seemingly simple trial in the Jedi Temple. Anakin was instructed to defend against a group of marksman-age training remotes, but with a twist. He was to do so using a wooden stick instead of his lightsaber. Obi-Wan's goal was clear: to teach Anakin about patience, control, and discipline. However, Anakin, ever the impulsive Padawan, couldn't help but take matters into his own hands. During the trial, Anakin became frustrated with the limitations of his weapon. As he faced off against the training remotes, his frustration grew. He reached out with the Force and with a single motion grabbed Obi-Wan's lightsaber. This was a violation of the rules, and Obi-Wan immediately took notice. Anakin completed the trial using the lightsaber, but not without consequence. Obi-Wan, disappointed with his apprentice's disregard for the rules, began to scold him. This argument caused the Jedi Masters, Yoda, Mace Windu, and Master Bant Erin, to walk away, disappointed in Anakin's lack of restraint. Obi-Wan, now frustrated with Anakin, left with a team of Jedi Temple guards to investigate a disturbance in the Force. He instructed Anakin to stay behind and clean up, but as always, Anakin's curiosity and impulsive nature took over. Using 2 training remotes, Anakin made his way through the Jedi Temple's vents and followed the disturbance to the training stores. There, he found himself face to face with a group of battle droids. Fake temple attack. Anakin quickly found himself in a battle for his life. With no lightsaber, since Obi-Wan had taken it from him, Anakin had to rely on his instincts and the Force to defend himself. He found electroblades in a nearby box and used them to fight off the droids. Despite being outnumbered, Anakin fought bravely, determined to protect the temple. The fight escalated until Obi-Wan and the Jedi Temple Guard team arrived just in time to help him. After the skirmish, Obi-Wan gave Anakin back his lightsaber, and the two continued to investigate the disturbance. Their search led them to a shocking discovery. The temple guard that had attacked Anakin was actually a battle droid in disguise. The droid, it turned out, had been working with the Nova crime syndicate. Anakin and Obi-Wan followed the trail to the Syndicate's base, where they encountered Grynask Sanberge, the supposed leader. Through their Jedi abilities, Anakin and Obi-Wan uncovered a deeper conspiracy. They discovered that the fake temple guard was none other than Master Irin in disguise. The truth unfolded even further when they encountered Sanberge, a Force-sensitive individual who removed his mask, revealing himself to be Mace Windu in disguise. This entire ordeal was a test set by the Jedi Council to test how well Anakin and Obi-Wan could work together instead of arguing. Anakin realized that this was a test of their unity, and the success of the mission would help strengthen their bond. Obi-Wan and Anakin began to see each other more as brothers than just master and apprentice, and they left the planet together, now more united than ever. A memorable training session. You are a great warrior, Anakin, but your need to prove yourself is your undoing. Until you overcome it, a Padawan, you will still be. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Anakin's training continued, but his struggles with aggression and the need to prove himself did not end. One day, while waiting for Obi-Wan in a training area at the Jedi Temple, Anakin gazed out of the window, his mind preoccupied with his growing frustrations. Obi-Wan eventually joined him for a sparring session. At first, the training was light-hearted, with Obi-Wan offering gentle guidance. However, Anakin's aggression soon took over. He was determined to win the duel at any cost. His strikes became more violent and uncontrolled. Obi-Wan, ever the wise teacher, warned Anakin that his aggression went against the Jedi Code. The Jedi mission was not to seek conflict, but to protect and preserve life. Anakin, still determined to prove himself, ignored Obi-Wan's advice and continued his relentless assault. Eventually, Obi-Wan found himself backed into a corner, and Anakin took advantage of the situation, demanding Obi-Wan admit defeat. But Obi-Wan, always calm and controlled, slipped away when Anakin raised his blade. The duel continued, and Anakin knocked Obi-Wan's lightsaber away, assuming he had won. But Obi-Wan wasn't finished. Obi-Wan used the Force to claim Anakin's lightsaber, and in doing so, showed Anakin that his need to prove himself and his obsession with winning were his greatest weaknesses. He reminded Anakin that this was why he could never become a Jedi Knight. To become a Jedi, Anakin would have to learn to let go of his need for victory and control his aggression. Anakin realized that Obi-Wan was right. The duel ended, but the lesson would stay with him forever. Obi-Wan's words, "Until you overcome it, a Padawan, you will still be," echoed in Anakin's mind as he reflected on his own actions. Protecting Padme Amidala. A decade after the Battle of Naboo, Anakin was sent on a mission with Obi-Wan Kenobi to protect Padme Amidala, who had become a senator of Naboo. The Separatist crisis was threatening to tear the galaxy apart, and Padme was at the center of it all. Anakin was eager to reunite with Padme after so many years, and upon meeting her, he found himself as emotionally conflicted as ever. Though Padme was happy to see him, their reunion was marked by the tension of Anakin's growing feelings for her and his Jedi duties. Their mission soon became more complex when an assassination attempt was made on Padme's life. The Jedi Council, on Chancellor Palpatine's request, sent Anakin and Obi-Wan to protect Padme from further attacks. Anakin, who had always held a special place in his heart for Padme, promised to uncover the identity of those who sought to harm her. Though Padme was a skilled diplomat and tried to maintain her composure, it was clear that her safety was at risk. Anakin's feelings for her only deepened during their time together, complicating his Jedi duties even further. The internal struggle between his attachment to Padme and his commitment to the Jedi Code would only grow stronger in the coming years. Anakin's knighthood and business on Cato Nemoidia. The narrative begins after Anakin's Jedi Knighting ceremony, where his position within the Order is solidified. His knighthood marks a new chapter in his life, one in which he begins to shoulder more responsibility. While his fellow Jedi like Obi-Wan Kenobi are off on missions, Anakin is tasked with mentoring a group of younglings and guiding them in their early steps as Force users. Despite being a newly minted Jedi Knight, Anakin's desire for action is unyielding. He's frustrated by the orders to stay behind, longing to prove himself on the battlefield once again. His first mission as a general comes when he is asked to accompany a humanitarian mission on the planet Langston. But soon the news of the Cato Nemoidia explosion shifts his focus. The bombing on the Purse World, which was blamed on the Republic, sparks an investigation led by Obi-Wan. Although Anakin is initially denied participation in the investigation, he becomes more determined to join his master, only to be tasked with guiding young Mil Alibeth, a Zabrak girl struggling with her connection to the Force. Anakin takes it upon himself to help Alibeth, guiding her and empathizing with her struggles as a reflection of his own. Through their journey, they find a common thread in their internal conflicts. Eventually, Anakin disobeys orders and rushes to Cato Nemoidia to help Obi-Wan, rescuing him from a trial and uncovering a plot to frame the Republic for the bombing. Anakin's actions, both heroic and impulsive, save the day, and the investigation reveals that a third party was behind the bombing, intending to manipulate both the Republic and Separatists. The resolution of the mission strengthens Anakin's relationship with Obi-Wan, but it also highlights Anakin's belief that he must always be the Sun Dragon, the protector, the one who shoulders the weight of others' expectations. However, Mil Alibeth's parting words, telling him that he doesn't always have to act as the Sun Dragon, leave Anakin deep in thought. This marks a critical point, where Anakin begins to question the weight of the responsibilities he carries, which will ultimately play into his later doubts and fall. Rescue at Stagek. After the passage of the Jedi Military Integration Act, which officially brought the Jedi Order into the Republic's war effort, Anakin is sent on another crucial mission alongside Obi-Wan to rescue Senator Amidala and her allies from General Grievous on the moon of Stagek. This mission is not without complications, as the Senator's convoy is ambushed, and Skywalker and Kenobi must quickly act to prevent their capture. Anakin's impulsive nature resurfaces as he immediately takes charge of the situation, following a trail of footprints into a nearby forest. There, they discover the daughter of Yaruah, who has been taken by the battle droids. Anakin and Obi-Wan's quick actions lead them to rescue Yaruah and others, but they face obstacles along the way. When the droids capture Obi-Wan and the daughter, Anakin fights valiantly to prevent their capture, but is ultimately unsuccessful. Anakin's unrelenting drive and focus on rescuing his master and the others reflect his willingness to push forward, no matter the risk. Eventually, he uses the Republic shuttle they arrived in to board General Grievous's flagship, where they manage to rescue Senator Amidala and find a solution to their predicament. Anakin's growing leadership skills are evident here, though his impatience often leads him to act without fully thinking through the consequences. The rescue also gives Anakin an opportunity to reflect on his personal struggles, as he begins to question the meaning of loyalty, sacrifice, and duty. Obi-Wan's calm and patient demeanor contrasts with Anakin's aggressive actions, continuing to highlight the differences in their Jedi philosophies. Lesson on Naboo. In another mission, Anakin and Obi-Wan are assigned to Naboo, where Anakin encounters Asajj Ventress once more. His impulsiveness surfaces as he tries to engage in combat with her without waiting for his master's guidance. This rash decision leads to Obi-Wan's reprimand, where he teaches Anakin the importance of patience and trusting his master's judgment. The lesson Obi-Wan imparts about trust and patience becomes a crucial turning point for Anakin. His rebelliousness is challenged not by force, but by Obi-Wan's words of wisdom. This encounter serves as a turning point in Anakin's maturation, teaching him to balance his instincts with the wisdom and trust in others. General of the 501st. Anakin's rise to the rank of general in the Grand Army of the Republic brings him into direct conflict with the Separatists, including Count Dooku and Asajj Ventress. In his new role, he commands the 501st Legion and forms a bond with Captain Rex, his second-in-command. Rex and Anakin's partnership grows into one of mutual respect and camaraderie, though their methods often differ. Anakin's maverick, rule-bending style contrasts with Rex's more disciplined, by-the-book approach. Over time, Rex begins to understand and even admire Anakin's unique leadership style, while Anakin learns the value of teamwork and discipline. The Battle of Arantara serves as a critical moment where Anakin and his troops face overwhelming odds. During the battle, Rex is injured, and Anakin's leadership is tested as he decides to risk his life to rescue his fallen comrade. This moment solidifies Anakin's belief that true leaders must always lead from the front, reinforcing his sense of duty and responsibility. His actions during the war cement his role as a general, but also serve as a backdrop for the emotional conflicts and burdens that will ultimately break him. Siege of Hyssane and subsequent battles. In the Siege of Hyssane, Anakin is sent with Obi-Wan and Master Plo Koon to prevent a separatist victory. As they battle the droid forces and protect the Hyssanian people, Anakin's tactical brilliance shines through. However, this mission also reveals a key aspect of Anakin's personality, his desire to win at any cost. This thirst for victory becomes a driving force in his actions, often leading him to make decisions that prioritize success over the lives and well-being of those around him. As they confront Count Dooku and Asajj Ventress, Anakin continues to struggle with the weight of his actions. He understands the importance of victory, but the cost of war begins to weigh heavily on him. His internal battle between his Jedi responsibilities and his emotional attachments is exacerbated by the personal loss and trauma that war continues to impose upon him. Battles at Corvair Sector, Christophsis, and Teth. Anakin continues his campaign as a Jedi general with a number of important victories. During the Corvair Sector battle, he leads a strike against the Separatists, displaying his skill as a pilot and tactician. His actions and leadership continue to earn him respect and admiration among the Republic forces, but Anakin's inner conflict grows more pronounced. The Battle of Christophsis becomes a turning point in his relationship with his new Padawan, Ahsoka Tano. Anakin's initial reluctance to take on a Padawan turns into a bond that strengthens as they face numerous challenges together. Despite his initial frustration with Ahsoka, they begin to work together and trust one another, marking a new chapter in Anakin's growth as a mentor and leader. The mission to Teth also highlights Anakin's willingness to take risks, especially when it comes to the protection of the innocent. During this mission, he faces off against Asajj Ventress once again, and his passion for success and his personal attachment to the mission bring out both the best and worst in him. R2-D2 Lost. The event begins with a victorious mission against General Grievous, who had been making significant advances in the war. Anakin Skywalker, eager to prove himself and successfully defend his sector, set up a strategic ambush for the Separatist forces passing through Bothawi's asteroid field. With well-placed AT-TEs on nearby asteroids, he managed to destroy the Separatist frigates, forcing Grievous to retreat in his Solus One ship. However, Anakin's ship sustained damage from the debris of the destroyed frigates, causing a crash and leading to the unfortunate loss of R2-D2. Though Anakin was provided with a new astromech droid, R3S6, he felt an overwhelming sense of loss. R3 didn't live up to the capabilities of his old companion, and Anakin grew suspicious of the new droid's true allegiance. Despite receiving orders to continue his mission, Anakin's loyalty to R2-D2 led him to scour the battlefield for his lost friend. His pursuit led to an encounter with the scavenger ship Vulture's Claw, where he discovered that R2-D2 had been taken by General Grievous. Anakin's unwavering commitment to his droid eventually paid off. R2-D2 sent a signal from Skytop Station, revealing his location, and Anakin embarked on a dangerous mission to rescue his beloved droid. Alongside Ahsoka Tano and Captain Rex, Anakin fought through the station, engaged multiple Magna Guards, and discovered the treacherous nature of R3S6. The droid was working as a spy for Grievous, setting up a trap by sending Vulture droids and super battle droids against them. Eventually, Anakin and Tano managed to defeat R3, rescue R2, and return to the mission objectives, restoring balance to their squad and achieving victory once more. Captured on Florum. Anakin and Obi-Wan's efforts to capture Count Dooku take them to the planet Vankor, where they try to catch the Sith Lord in a trap. Anakin allows himself to be captured by Dooku's forces, knowing it would set up a strategic opportunity for Obi-Wan to rescue him. As expected, Obi-Wan infiltrates the Munificent-class Star frigate and frees Anakin, but the plan backfires when Dooku narrowly escapes aboard his solar sailor. In pursuit of Dooku, Anakin and Obi-Wan are forced to crash land on a desolate planet, where they attempt to track Dooku down. However, Dooku uses the terrain to his advantage, causing a cave-in and nearly trapping the two Jedi. In a harrowing escape, the pair must deal with an unconscious Gundark and poisonous gas before they are rescued by Ahsoka Tano and a team of clone troopers. Their teamwork and resourcefulness, despite being outnumbered, demonstrate the strong bond Anakin shares with his comrades and his ability to stay focused on the mission at hand, despite the odds. Quell and Maridan. The Battle of Quell presents another opportunity for Anakin to showcase his leadership and willingness to sacrifice. While assisting Jedi Master Aayla Secura and her forces, Anakin throws himself into the fray, saving many lives, though at great personal cost. He sustains severe injuries while attempting to save others, embodying his heroic nature and deep sense of responsibility. Tano and Secura are forced to rescue him, and he is left in the care of Rex, while the other Jedi seek help from the native Lurmen. This personal sacrifice is not the end of his troubles. As a new threat in the form of Separatist forces appears on the planet, Anakin takes charge once again to thwart their plans, proving that no matter how dire the situation, he will continue to fight for peace and justice. Anakin's interaction with the Lurmen also underscores his belief in the higher moral duty and his desire to prevent unnecessary conflict, even if the Jedi are inevitably dragged into it. While others around him argue over the nature of war, Anakin continuously seeks a resolution that can spare innocent lives. This battle is one of the few times Anakin's compassion and his deep-seated fear of loss serve to challenge the Jedi Code and what it means to be a warrior. Autoplutonia. On a mission to the icy world of Autoplutonia, Anakin and Obi-Wan are sent to investigate the mysterious death of clone troopers at a Republic outpost. Alongside a squad of cold assault troopers and Senator Ryo Chuchi, Anakin and Obi-Wan discover that the clones were not killed by droids, but by something far more dangerous. Tals, a peaceful species defending their land. Anakin, ever the diplomat when needed, steps in to help negotiate peace between the Pantora Senator and the Tals people, seeking to avert the war that would ultimately doom both sides. Despite his efforts, the Tals are dragged into conflict with the Pantoran government, as Chairman Chicho refuses to share the land. In the end, Cho is killed, and Senator Chuchi finds a way to ensure the Tals are respected and their rights protected. Anakin's involvement in this delicate peace negotiation shows his capability not only as a warrior, but as someone who, deep down, wants peace. However, this humanitarian effort is again overshadowed by the looming spectre of war that continues to haunt the galaxy. Blue Shadow Virus. On a mission to Naboo, Anakin and Obi-Wan must stop the release of the Blue Shadow virus by the Separatists. As Amidala petitions for their help, Anakin is faced with a difficult choice: follow orders to carefully plan the mission, or rush in to save Padme, who has been caught in the virus plot. His decision to act quickly, despite the dangers, is characteristic of his impulsive nature and his emotional attachment to Padme, which the Jedi Code forbids. As Anakin and Obi-Wan battle their way through a dangerous laboratory, Anakin confronts Dr. Nuvo Vindi, the scientist responsible for the virus. While Obi-Wan distracts Vindi, Anakin's quick thinking saves Padme and prevents the virus from being released. The mission to stop the virus is a victory, but the underlying tension between Anakin's duty as a Jedi and his emotional attachment to Padme continues to surface. Battle of Ryloth. The Battle of Ryloth presents a key moment for Anakin, as he must manage both the tactical side of battle and the emotional side of mentoring his Padawan, Ahsoka Tano. Skywalker's mentorship comes into sharp focus when he gives Ahsoka the responsibility of leading a squadron in battle. However, Ahsoka's inexperience and initial failure weigh heavily on both of them, and Anakin is forced to reprimand her despite his understanding of her intentions. The losses in the battle challenge Anakin's sense of duty, as he wrestles with his desire to protect his soldiers and his need for a swift resolution. This internal conflict begins to take a toll on his ability to stay detached from the realities of war. His compassion for his troops, combined with his desire to achieve victory at any cost, begins to blur the lines between right and wrong. Nonetheless, the victory in freeing Ryloth becomes another testament to Anakin's resolve, but also marks a growing tension between his personal feelings and his Jedi responsibilities. Holocron Heist. As the Holocron heist unfolds, Anakin becomes entangled in a mission to recover stolen Jedi knowledge from the notorious bounty hunter Cad Bane. The mission becomes a race against time when Bane steals a Jedi holocron containing critical information about Force-sensitive children, and Anakin and his team are forced to track him down. Throughout the mission, Anakin faces both dangerous enemies and the overwhelming responsibility of protecting the next generation of Jedi. The heist tests Anakin's decision-making as he is forced into a morally difficult situation. He opens the holocron, despite knowing it might lead to more danger, to retrieve critical information and stop Bane. Ultimately, Anakin's resolve is tested as he works to protect the Jedi Order's secrets, showcasing his willingness to sacrifice whatever is necessary to protect those he loves, even at the cost of the Jedi Code. The Zillo Beast. Anakin's involvement in the Zillo Beast crisis underscores the growing moral conflicts within him. When the Zillo Beast, a giant creature impervious to lightsabers, is captured and transported to Coruscant for study, Anakin is forced to confront his role in the Republic's actions. Despite his initial neutrality, he soon finds himself torn between his friendships and the moral implications of the Republic's decision to kill the creature for scientific purposes. The Zillo Beast ultimately escapes and terrorizes Coruscant, and Anakin is forced to make a difficult decision that will again define his path as a leader and as a Jedi. Another mission to Cato Neimoidia. Despite the ongoing Clone Wars, Anakin Skywalker was granted a brief leave after a long period of military engagement. He returned home to his wife Padme Amidala for a romantic evening, only to be recalled to the Jedi Temple by the Jedi Council. The Council was suspicious of Senator Rush Clovis, who was rumored to be a separatist sympathizer. With Clovis planning to travel to Cato Neimoidia, the Council tasked Padme with infiltrating his operations. Skywalker, accompanying Padme, posed as a pilot aboard her ship. Throughout the mission, Anakin struggled with jealousy as he witnessed moments of closeness between Padme and Clovis. His emotions flared when he saw them embracing, though Padme had secretly acquired crucial information from Clovis to aid in the mission. The situation escalated when Senator Lot Dodd, a known separatist, poisoned Padme. Skywalker, with the help of Clovis, managed to get her back to their ship, though not without incident. Anakin's protective instincts and his intense attachment to Padme were put on full display. He demanded an antidote from Dodd and left Clovis stranded on Cato Neimoidia, choosing to prioritize Padme's safety above all else. This mission further cemented Anakin's struggle between his loyalty to the Jedi Code and his desire to protect his loved ones. Second Battle of Geonosis. Soon after a victory near Doran, Anakin and Ahsoka Tano were sent to the Second Battle of Geonosis, where the Republic planned to destroy the Geonosian primary droid factory. The operation was a massive three-pronged attack, but both Anakin and Ahsoka's forces were shot down before reaching the landing zone. Despite their setbacks, they managed to rally and meet with Kenobi and Ki-Adi-Mundi to formulate a new plan. Skywalker's leadership was key in overcoming the challenges faced by his forces. He ordered EMP grenades to disable enemy weapons, which allowed the ATTEs to destroy the shield generator, ultimately leading to the surrender of the Geonosians. Anakin's attachment to Ahsoka was tested during the battle. He was unable to let go of his Padawan, and this emotional connection put her in danger when the two Jedi ventured into the Geonosian catacombs to plant explosives. Though Ahsoka and Barriss Offee were trapped, Anakin insisted on saving them. This moment highlighted Anakin's emotional conflict between his responsibilities as a Jedi and his fear of loss. Eventually, both Padawans were saved, but Anakin's refusal to let go of attachments remained a key theme. Jedi escape from Karina's brainless servants. The mission continued with a high-stakes pursuit of Poggle the Lesser, who was captured alongside Luminara Unduli and the Geonosian Queen, Karina the Great. Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi entered the Progate Temple, where they encountered undead Geonosian warriors and ultimately had to confront the Queen. Anakin's temper flared as he faced overwhelming odds, but his ability to stay focused on the mission was paramount in the capture of Poggle and the eventual escape from the Geonosian Queen. The perilous situation showed Anakin's resolve, but it also reflected his impulsivity, especially when it came to the safety of those he cared about. Saleucami. In another critical mission, Anakin and Obi-Wan were sent to Saleucami to rescue Jedi Master Eth Koth from the clutches of General Grievous. Their mission involved a daring hyperspace jump into Grievous's territory. Once aboard the Separatist cruiser, Anakin and Adi Gallia fought through waves of battle droids to locate Koth, eventually rescuing the Master and returning him to safety. The mission's failure to capture Grievous added to the increasing tension between the Jedi Council and their frustrations with their inability to end the war. Anakin's direct involvement in these kinds of high-risk missions began to shape his growing impatience with the Jedi Code and the increasingly complicated nature of his role in the galactic conflict. Mandalore. Anakin joined Obi-Wan Kenobi on a mission to Mandalore to escort Duchess Satine Kryze to Coruscant after accusations arose that Mandalore had aligned itself with the Separatists. During their time on the ship Coronet, Anakin and Kenobi discovered that there was a traitor aboard, leading to a battle with assassin probes. Anakin's quick thinking in taking charge during the attack demonstrated his leadership abilities, but it was also indicative of his ongoing struggle with authority and control. In a later confrontation, Anakin took decisive action, killing Tal Merrick, an agent of the Death Watch, who had kidnapped Duchess Satine. Anakin's willingness to act without hesitation, even if it meant crossing moral boundaries, spoke to his growing disillusionment with the Jedi Code's emphasis on non-violence. The mission highlighted Anakin's increasing tendency to take matters into his own hands, pushing against the strictures of his training. Trapped on Banco. In another pursuit of Boba Fett, Anakin Skywalker and Mace Windu were trapped on Banco after Boba sabotaged the ship they were aboard, leading to a deadly confrontation with Fett. Anakin's dedication to stopping Fett and his desire for revenge against the young bounty hunter who had targeted him due to the death of his father, Jango Fett, was evident. Anakin's struggle with vengeance was clear as he tried to balance the Jedi Code with his need to avenge his fallen enemies. His impatience nearly cost him and Windu their lives when Fett set a trap with a Mandalorian helmet rigged to explode. In the aftermath, Anakin's desire for revenge on Fett led him to convince Windu to pursue the bounty hunter despite the risks. His actions in this mission mirrored his inner turmoil, torn between his Jedi duties and his need to satisfy his emotions, particularly his anger and grief. Baelith. Following a mission on Mandalore, Anakin Skywalker accompanied his Padawan Ahsoka Tano to Baelith, a planet embroiled in a civil war. Anakin's role in this mission emphasized his growing leadership abilities and his desire to have Tano succeed on her own. The mission was a success as Ahsoka worked to help the citizens of Baelith overthrow a corrupt government. However, her risk-taking behavior and willingness to involve untrained civilians in combat was met with mixed feelings from Anakin. His mentorship of Ahsoka became increasingly complex as he tried to guide her without stifling her independence. This mission also illustrated Anakin's own moral grey area, torn between the Jedi Code and his emotional attachment to his apprentice. Battle of Kamino. Anakin was once again thrust into a high-stakes mission when he and Obi-Wan Kenobi traveled to Kamino after an intercepted transmission revealed a separatist plot to destroy the clone's DNA on the planet. Upon their arrival, Anakin led the Republic Space Forces to confront Grievous's fleet, engaging in a daring battle above the planet. Meanwhile, on the surface, Anakin was forced to confront Asajj Ventress, who had stolen the prime DNA sample of Jango Fett. During the intense battle, Anakin's determination to recover the stolen data was tested. Ventress's defiance and unwillingness to talk pushed Anakin to his limits, and he resorted to violence, using his force choke to extract the information he needed. This confrontation further solidified Anakin's inner conflict as he strayed from the Jedi ideal of compassion, embracing anger and aggression to achieve his goals. The blockade of Pantora. In a more personal mission, Anakin Skywalker was once again called upon by his Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, to assist in a kidnapping investigation on Pantora. Though the Jedi were officially forbidden from intervening, Anakin's personal connection to Ahsoka led him to give her permission to pursue the mission, showing his loyalty and trust in her abilities. The mission ended in success, with the captured daughters of Chairman Papanoida being safely returned, but it also showcased Anakin's growing reliance on his emotions in making decisions, often bending the Jedi Code to accommodate his personal beliefs. Amidala, Skywalker, and the Senate Crisis. Anakin Skywalker, trying to ease his wife Padme Amidala's mind, found himself caught in a whirlwind of political intrigue. Amidala had been arranging a crucial party to win Senator Aang's vote on the Military Oversight Committee, and Skywalker was by her side hoping to calm her anxious nerves. When the protocol droid C-3PO caused a small mishap with the arrangements, Skywalker sent R2, D2, and C-3PO to buy Jogan fruit, a key ingredient for the dessert. Despite a minor delay, Amidala's party proceeded as planned, and she had Aang's vote just in time. Afterward, Skywalker proposed an idea to his wife. Taking a much-needed break together, he suggested they disappear for 2 weeks to somewhere remote, just as husband and wife, instead of their roles as senator and Jedi. Though Amidala declined, citing her duties to the Republic, she reassured him that their love was just as important as her work. Skywalker, showing the depth of his affection, handed her his lightsaber, his most treasured possession, a gesture that took her by surprise. Despite her initial belief that he was joking, the sincerity in his eyes was clear, and the two shared a tender kiss. Their moment was interrupted by C-3PO and Senator Bail Organa, prompting Skywalker to hide under Amidala's desk, while she hid his lightsaber in her sleeve. Soon after, the building was seized by Cad Bane and his crew. Amidala was taken hostage with several other senators, while Skywalker was knocked unconscious. When he awoke, Bane had set bombs throughout the building, threatening to destroy it if the laser detectors were triggered. Amidala returned Skywalker's lightsaber, and with it, he quickly cut a hole in the floor, saving the senators. The two escaped the building before the bombs went off, with Bane fleeing alongside the criminal Zero the Hutt. Meeting Madame Senata. After the Senate crisis, Skywalker and Amidala traveled to the planet Karmas to attend a performance by the legendary actress Madame Risha Senata. The duo arrived late, missing the play, but decided to visit Senata's museum, where they discovered a plot involving the Separatists. Amidala and Skywalker uncovered a conspiracy, with Senata working with Count Dooku. The two found themselves in a dangerous confrontation, but with the help of R2-D2, they were able to stop Senata's deadly plans. Skywalker ultimately defeated her in a duel, putting an end to her treachery. Training Ahsoka Tano. As Skywalker continued his duties as a Jedi, he focused on his young Padawan, Ahsoka Tano. He pushed her training to the limits, setting difficult tasks designed to prepare her for the dangers of war. Skywalker and Tano spent hours training, with the Jedi Knight taking her to isolated locations and forcing her to fight against the clones. When Tano struggled with using 2 lightsabers, Skywalker patiently guided her, helping her master the technique. He also sparred with her, showing her that real combat required the use of the Force and a mastery of strategy. Unexpected company. Skywalker had little time for peace, but when a mission took him and Amidala to Alderaan, they hoped for a brief moment of respite. That peace was shattered when their young Padawan Tano unexpectedly joined them. During their flight, Skywalker ignored Tano's warnings and took a shortcut through a separatist fleet, resulting in the ship being targeted. Skywalker fought to protect his wife, and the trio eventually made it to Alderaan, where Skywalker expressed his gratitude for Tano's help, and Amidala admitted that the three of them made an excellent team. Trouble with Tamarian. Skywalker and Amidala were invited to the annual Festival of Light Gala by a showman named Tamarian. Expecting an actual threat, Skywalker was instead thrust into a show of opulence. Amidala, stunning in her attire, spoke with him briefly, but Skywalker's evening took a turn when gas filled the room and he was knocked unconscious. Upon waking, Skywalker found Amidala, who had escaped the gas attack and fought off the criminals. The two worked together to capture their would-be attackers, and after some intense moments, they saved the guests and turned the criminals in. The Citadel and Ahsoka's trial. The war was ongoing, and Skywalker, along with Kenobi, was assigned a dangerous mission to rescue Master Peel from the separatist Citadel on Lola Sayu. The mission required cunning and grit, and Skywalker's leadership was tested as they infiltrated the Citadel and freed Peel. Along the way, they made an uneasy alliance with Captain Tarkin, with whom Skywalker had a tense relationship. Despite the odds, they managed to escape, but not without the heavy loss of their comrades, particularly the death of Master Peel. Meanwhile, the political turmoil continued, and Skywalker's life took a personal turn when Ahsoka Tano was accused of bombing the Jedi Temple. Skywalker's trust in the Jedi Order wavered as he watched his Padawan stand trial. Though he fought for her innocence, Tano chose to leave the Jedi Order, breaking Skywalker's heart. He understood her choice all too well, for he had considered leaving the Order himself. The loss of his Padawan marked the beginning of Skywalker's descent into greater turmoil. Clovis, the clone conspiracy, and loss. Skywalker's emotional struggles deepened when his wife, Amidala, became embroiled in a mission involving Rush Clovis, a former senator whom Skywalker deeply distrusted. As they worked together to uncover a conspiracy involving the banking clan, Skywalker's jealousy and anger began to boil over. Confronting Clovis, Skywalker nearly lost control and almost killed him in a fit of rage, only to realize his mistake too late. Amidala, frightened by his actions, took a break from their marriage, leaving Skywalker feeling more isolated than ever. As the war raged on, Skywalker's battles with the Separatists continued, but the deeper war within himself became ever more consuming. His trust in the Jedi Council eroded after discovering that the creation of the clone army had been kept secret, orchestrated by the mysterious figure Sifo Dyas. The dark truths he uncovered only added to the pressure as the lines between right and wrong blurred. Yoda's journey and the dark path. In the final stages of the Clone Wars, Skywalker became involved in several key events, including Yoda's mysterious journey. The Jedi Master, seeking wisdom from beyond, took Skywalker along to the planet Moraband. During this journey, Skywalker's faith in the Jedi Order continued to wane, and he began questioning everything he had been taught. The growing influence of Chancellor Palpatine added to his inner conflict, and Skywalker felt increasingly isolated in his struggle to protect the people he loved. The the seeds of doubt and fear planted by the Sith Lords began to take root. Skywalker's journey was no longer just one of war, but of soul-searching and self-doubt. His fall to darkness seemed inevitable, with the weight of war and loss pushing him further toward the darkness within. Mission to Batuu and alliance with Thrawn. Anakin Skywalker was alerted by Senator Amidala about an important discovery on Batuu, made by one of her former handmaidens, Duja. Unfortunately, Skywalker was tied up with battle duties, so he allowed Amidala to travel alone. Upon his return to Coruscant, Skywalker found records indicating that Amidala had been on Batuu. After another battle, he received word that her ship had been located on the planet. Skywalker, joined by R2-D2, flew to Batuu in his interceptor. On his way, Skywalker encountered a freighter and its captain, Chiss Defense Fleet Commander Mithril Narudo, more commonly known as Thrawn. Skywalker accepted Thrawn's assistance in locating Amidala and Duja. Upon reaching Batuu, Skywalker found Amidala's ship near Black Spire Outpost. As they investigated, a group of smugglers attacked Skywalker, and Thrawn helped break up the fight. The two made their way to a cantina, where they came under attack by 4 assailants, whom they managed to defeat. Thrawn, suspecting a larger conspiracy, deduced that there was a 5th assailant nearby. The pair came up with a plan to capture this last assailant. Skywalker pretended to have engine failure in his interceptor and allowed the assassin to approach, only to spring an ambush. Thrawn, in his typical fashion, captured the assassin and traced his freighter, which turned out to be a separatist vessel. Mission to Mokivje. Skywalker and Thrawn uncovered the truth behind Duja's disappearance. They learned that a separatist droid factory was operating on the planet Mokivje. The duo infiltrated the factory, finding the separatists mining cortosis, a material that could potentially cripple the Republic's battle efforts. During their infiltration, Skywalker posed as an officer to gain access to the factory's inner workings. Once inside, Skywalker and Thrawn discovered that separatist forces were producing heavily armored B-2 super battle droids powered by cortosis. The two faced off against the factory's defenses and learned that the separatists planned to use the cortosis armor to infiltrate the Republic. Their mission became even more critical as they began to understand the scope of the threat posed by the factory. After a series of tense confrontations, including capturing the Duke Solar of Sereno, Skywalker and Thrawn managed to sabotage the facility. However, the destruction of the mine inadvertently triggered a volcanic eruption on Mokivje, causing environmental devastation that would take years to repair. While Thrawn respected Skywalker's battle prowess, the cost of their actions weighed heavily on the Jedi Knight, leaving him with a profound sense of regret. The bombing of the Jedi Temple. Back on Coruscant, Skywalker and R2-D2 were present when the Jedi Temple was bombed by separatist forces, led by Captain Rackham Seer. The attack was foiled by Jedi Masters Depa Billaba and Caleb Dume, but the event added to the growing tension that Skywalker felt about his place within the Jedi Order. Amidala's departure. Skywalker's personal life was equally turbulent. Amidala was preparing for a diplomatic mission to Klabron, and Skywalker insisted on accompanying her. Despite her reassurances, Skywalker reluctantly agreed to stay behind on Coruscant. Before her departure, the couple shared a moment of affection, which was witnessed by Amidala's handmaiden, Mote. Though Amidala reassured Skywalker that Mote understood discretion, it was a reminder of how their relationship was increasingly under the public eye. The Crystal Crisis on Utapau. In the final months of the Clone Wars, Skywalker was assigned to investigate the mysterious death of Jedi Master Tatooine on the planet Utapau. During their investigation, he and Obi-Wan Kenobi uncovered a plot involving Magna Guards and an assassin's sniper rifle. As the investigation unfolded, Skywalker struggled with the loss of his Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, who had left the Order, and voiced his anger at the Jedi Council for turning their back on her. Kenobi offered some counsel, reminding Skywalker of the Jedi Code, but Skywalker was still deeply conflicted. The mission ultimately led to the discovery of a massive kyber crystal being used by the Separatists for weaponry. Skywalker and Kenobi attempted to stop the crystal's transport, but were pursued by General Grievous, who damaged their ship. Despite the damage, they recovered the crystal and managed to destroy it, stopping the Separatist plans in the nick of time. Stationed on Coruscant. Back on Coruscant, Skywalker received a strange disturbance in the Force. While aboard a Venator-class Star Destroyer, he sensed the presence of Ahsoka Tano aboard an unmarked ship, the Silver Angel. Though he was tempted to take action, Skywalker ultimately allowed her and her companions to leave, sensing that she had her own path to follow. Vos and Ventress. In another mission, Skywalker was tasked with assisting Asajj Ventress, the former Sith assassin, in rescuing Jedi Master Quinlan Vos. Vos had fallen to the dark side, manipulated by Count Dooku, and Ventress had staged a rescue attempt to free him from the Separatists. Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi helped Ventress infiltrate a Separatist dreadnought, where they confronted Vos, who had adopted the alias Admiral Enigma. After a tense standoff, Skywalker engaged Dooku in a duel to give Ventress and Kenobi time to rescue Vos. The mission was successful, and Vos was pardoned by the Jedi Council. However, the situation became more complicated when Vos later aligned himself with Ventress, and Skywalker was tasked with observing them. The duo's relationship became a source of tension, especially as Skywalker questioned the morality of their actions. In the end, Ventress sacrificed herself to save Vos, and Skywalker was forced to confront the complexities of redemption. A new droid army. Skywalker was later sent on a mission with Yoda to uncover the Separatist secret weapon, a new breed of massive battle droids. The two Jedi infiltrated a Separatist base on the planet Enthenium and learned of the creation of megadroids, massive droids 4 times the size of humans. Yoda and Skywalker's mission took them to the planet Golatha, where they discovered the factory producing these droids. The mission went awry, and Skywalker's overconfidence resulted in the deaths of many clone troopers. Despite this setback, Skywalker and Yoda infiltrated the factory, where they planted explosives to destroy the facility. However, as they escaped, a single megadroid emerged from the explosion, forcing Skywalker to chase it down in his interceptor. In an incredible display of skill and calm, Skywalker saved Yoda from the megadroid, completing their mission but realizing the risk that the Separatists' new droid army posed. Anaxes. Tell me the sequence to disarm the bomb. Never. Dooku would kill me for losing Anaxes. And you think I won't? You're a Jedi. You're nobility. I don't have such weaknesses. Now let's try that again. Anakin Skywalker entrench. After a long and tiring assault on Cato Neimoidia, Skywalker found himself on Anaxes alongside Windu to defend the Republic shipyards. The pressure mounted with each passing hour, and Anakin could feel the weight of every loss. Captain Rex, ever vigilant, realized something troubling. The Separatists had anticipated their tactics. It seemed that the Republic was losing ground. Skywalker and Windu both felt the loss of their strategic advantage, and the dire situation only increased the urgency of the mission. In the midst of the chaos, the decision was made to send Clone Force 99 and Rex behind enemy lines to infiltrate a separatist cyber center. Skywalker, not one to back down from a fight, knew the importance of protecting the Republic, but his mind kept drifting to his team. Even as the battle raged on, Skywalker found a brief moment of peace when he called Amidala. Holding Rex's helmet in his hands, he spoke to her softly, apologizing for being away for so long. Their conversation, though fleeting, felt like a lifeline, grounding him amidst the tumult of war. His thoughts shifted as Rex waited outside, ever loyal, his mind seemingly focused on the mission. Anakin confided in Amidala about his worry for Rex, fearing that personal emotions were clouding his judgment. She reassured him, reminding him that Rex had learned many of those traits from him. Skako Minor and Echo's return. As Skywalker and the Bad Batch made their way to Skako Minor aboard the Marauder, the stakes grew higher. The planet itself seemed to pulse with an eerie silence as they approached, and before they could act, Skywalker found himself captured by the native Poltech. The relentless forces of the Techno-Union were waiting, but Rex and the rest of the Bad Batch weren't far behind. Skywalker's capture was swift, but the group wasn't far behind. They followed his trail, and in time, they reached the village. Skywalker, now free, was reunited with Echo, his once lost comrade, now a cyborg. The reunion was bittersweet, the air thick with emotions that words couldn't capture. With Echo's return, they prepared to infiltrate the Techno-Union's stronghold, but not before taking down a series of droids sent to halt their progress. The battle was intense, but Skywalker's quick thinking and mastery of the Force led to their success, with Wrecker destroying 2 of the Octoptara tri-droids with ease. The team managed to escape, racing back to the Poltech village, where the native chief provided valuable assistance, rallying the villagers to their side. The Bad Batch, along with Skywalker and Rex, fought to disable the overwhelming droid forces. Even with such odds, Skywalker remained focused, a beacon of hope for his team. They returned to Fort Anaxes, where the next phase of their mission awaited. The Battle of Anaxes, confronting Trench. Back at Fort Anaxes, the Separatists had already made their move, attempting to seize the upper hand. As the Republic forces prepared for the final stand, Echo used his newly restored abilities to infiltrate the Dreadnought systems. The countdown to a destructive bomb was initiated, threatening to obliterate the Republic's efforts. Windu worked tirelessly to defuse the bomb, while Skywalker, determined as ever, confronted General Trench on the Dreadnought's bridge. Trench, however, was unyielding, refusing to give up the final sequence code. His belief that Skywalker, a Jedi, wouldn't harm him was met with swift retaliation as Anakin, driven by a burning need to protect his people, amputated Trench's prosthetic limbs, forcing him to give in. In a moment of cold resolve, Anakin relayed the code to Windu, who successfully disarmed the bomb, but Trench, ever the manipulator, attempted to turn the tables by launching an electric attack on Anakin. In the heat of the moment, Anakin's response was immediate. With a deft thrust, he ended Trench's life, his lightsaber cutting through the Harch general's chest. The finality of the action left a cold silence in the air. Skywalker, though triumphant, couldn't ignore the weight of what he had done. The team's mission was complete, and as they departed aboard the Marauder, Skywalker allowed Wrecker to destroy Trench's flagship, sending a message to the Separatists. The Battle of Yavana, the quiet before the storm. Skywalker, along with Kenobi and their battalions, was sent to Yavana, where they fought against the Separatist forces once more. The planet, though quiet, was a battleground in itself. Anakin and Rex's 501st Legion took one front, while Kenobi's forces engaged on another. As Skywalker made his way through the thick of the battle, there was a certain calmness in his command, an unwavering confidence in his abilities. The Separatists were relentless, but Skywalker's leadership was unmatched. He and Kenobi had a clear strategy in mind: divide and conquer. They worked in sync, and Skywalker's decision to fake surrender in an attempt to draw out the droid commander led to their victory. The ambush was a success, and together they helped Kenobi's battalion, ending the conflict for now. The last meeting of friends. The moment Skywalker had long awaited finally came. He saw his former apprentice, Ahsoka Tano, again after months apart. But this was no reunion. Tano was focused, her mission urgent. Maul was on Mandalore, and there was an opportunity to capture him. Skywalker, though happy to see her, recognized the seriousness of the situation. Ahsoka, now leading her own team of Mandalorians, was no longer the young apprentice he once knew. The two of them stood together, preparing for the confrontation ahead. Skywalker, however, couldn't help but notice the changes in her. She was no longer just his student. She had grown into a capable leader. Tano, too, acknowledged the changes in him. The bond between them had been fractured, but for the moment, they stood side by side. Before parting ways, Skywalker promoted Rex to commander of a new unit, the 332nd Division. He assigned Tano as an advisor, knowing her invaluable experience. As Tano received her modified lightsabers from him, the weight of their shared history hung in the air, unspoken but understood. They said their goodbyes, and Skywalker left, knowing this would be the last time he saw his former apprentice as a friend. Confrontation on the Invisible Hand. The descent begins. The day Skywalker feared was nearing. General Grievous had attacked Coruscant. Skywalker and Kenobi rushed back to the capital with the goal of rescuing Chancellor Palpatine. The battle to reach Grievous's flagship, the Invisible Hand, was fierce. As the two Jedi fought their way through the droid forces, Skywalker felt his connection to the Force intensify. They finally reached the top of the ship, where Dooku awaited them. His taunting words echoed in the air, pushing Skywalker further toward his breaking point. When Dooku knocked Kenobi unconscious, Anakin's rage exploded, his fury overwhelming the Sith Lord. In a moment of brutal force, Skywalker severed Dooku's hands and with a swift motion killed him. Though he later regretted the act, the weight of his decision felt far lighter than it should have. The two Jedi rescued Palpatine, and the trio escaped the Invisible Hand. However, Skywalker felt the first real stirrings of doubt. The mission was not yet over, but the events had already begun to shape his path. Looming fatherhood, a moment of peace. Back on Coruscant, amidst the war and chaos, Skywalker found a rare moment of peace. Amidala, his wife, approached him with a revelation that changed everything. She was pregnant. The joy that filled Skywalker's heart was overwhelming. For a brief moment, the war and all its demands faded away. There was something wonderful coming into his life, something that could offer him the hope he desperately needed. However, the joy was tempered by a nightmare, a vision of Amidala's death during childbirth. The fear that had once consumed him after his mother's passing now threatened to consume him again. Though Amidala tried to comfort him, the haunting images lingered in his mind. tensions of loyalty, a dark path. As the war intensified, Skywalker found himself caught between two powerful forces: his duty to the Jedi and his growing connection with Palpatine. The Chancellor, sensing Anakin's struggles, took him under his wing, subtly encouraging him to distrust the Jedi Council. Skywalker's loyalty to the Jedi Order began to fracture, and Palpatine's promises of power and control became more alluring. Amidala, concerned about the Chancellor's growing influence, found herself at odds with Anakin. As he became more entrenched in Palpatine's manipulations, the path forward became unclear, and Skywalker began to question where his true loyalty lay. Fall to the dark side, the ultimate betrayal. Palpatine, revealing himself as the Sith Lord Sidious, manipulated Skywalker into making a fateful choice. When Mace Windu came to arrest the Chancellor, Skywalker was faced with an impossible decision: protect the Jedi or save his wife. In the end, desperation overtook him. He betrayed Windu, allowing Sidious to strike him down. And in that moment, Anakin Skywalker ceased to exist. Darth Vader was born. His pledge to Sidious sealed his fate. Skywalker, now Darth Vader, turned against the Jedi. He led the 501st Legion in an assault on the Jedi Temple, slaying those who had once been his allies, including the younglings. The temple, once a place of peace, was now a monument to his fall. Mission to Mustafar, the end of the Separatists. Vader's journey took him to Mustafar, where he slaughtered the entire Separatist council, ending the war in a blaze of fury. His eyes now yellow with anger, Vader felt a sense of completion, but deep within, something still lingered. As the galaxy changed, so too did the man he once was. The Republic had fallen, and the Empire was born. Vader stood by Sidious, knowing that there was no turning back. His fate was sealed, and yet, as he gazed out over Mustafar, a single tear fell, an echo of the man he had once been.